Right, recording. So, hi you guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm back with a new reaction video. And every time I see Delonte in the background and old highlight videos and stuff like that, it never sits right with me. But I never checked out a video about him, so I thought we would do that right now. The title is How This NBA Star Became a Homeless Man. And then in the description it says, how do you go from hitting game-winning shot next to LeBron James making over $16 million to homeless man on this side of the street? This is Delonte West's story. So I'm not going to ramble. We're going to go straight into this video. Alright. Let's see.
Go from hitting game-winning. How do you go from hitting game-winning shots next to LeBron James, making over $16 million, to a homeless man on the side of the street?
I'm not the leader all the game.
This is Delonte West's story. Delonte had one of the toughest childhoods in the NBA. He grew up in poverty, parents divorced, kids would constantly bully him for having red hair, making him feel like an outcast. And for years, he struggled to fit in. The only thing Delonte had was basketball. That's what gave him his ego, his identity. And as a kid, it was the only thing that made him happy. But when Delonte turned 12, he suffered his first devastating injury, and it left him sidelined for months. This was the first time he wasn't able to drown out his thoughts with basketball, and he spiraled into a deep depression. His mom saw he was struggling and decided it'd be best for him to live with his dad for a bit, but this only made things worse. His dad couldn't care less about what he was going through, and his new school was full of kids that were bad influences, opening the door for him to start experimenting with prescription drugs and alcohol. It wouldn't be until his leg injury healed that Delonte could feel somewhat normal again, back to distracting his mind with basketball. And by the time he got to high school, he ended up turning into a star athlete, averaging over 20 points a game. It was obvious this kid had all the talent to make it to the NBA. Then in college, he took things to another level. During his junior year, Delonte and Jameer Nelson, a future NBA player as well, were known as the best backcourt in basketball, and they torched through the regular season. Delonte was averaging 19 points a game, and the two stars led the St. Joseph Hawks to a 30-2 record. This officially put Delonte West's name on the map. With the 24th pick in the 2004 draft, it became official. The Boston Celtics selected Delonte West, and he accomplished his childhood dream. But as quick as things went up for Delonte, they began crumbling down. Injuries derailed his first few years in the NBA, and it wouldn't be until a trade in 2008 that the world would really get to know him, for good and bad. Delonte was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers, giving him the opportunity of a lifetime, playing with LeBron James as the Cavs' starting point guard. This was the moment he was waiting for. But his years with the Cavs would also be filled with controversy. It started with him lashing out at teammates during the preseason, which made the Cavs force Delonte to take a break and talk with a doctor. And he ended up being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. This meant Delonte would have extreme emotional highs and lows. So he started taking medication, talking to professionals, and learning to live with this. But that was just the beginning of his troubles. Behind the scenes, Delonte had a
You need supervision. You cannot just leave someone like that
secret life that no one knew about. In September 2009,
I know he's
he
grown
was
and
arrested
everything.
while riding through DC on his motorcycle. He was pulled over and had 3 different guns on him. And with that, Delonte's name was in headlines everywhere, and people started questioning what was going on in his life. He ended up getting a slap on the wrist, sentenced to 8 months of house arrest, 2 months of probation, and 40 hours of community service. Then the following season, Delonte was involved in a controversy that not only left a stain on his legacy, but also LeBron's. The Cavs went into the 2009-2010 playoffs with the best record in the NBA, and LeBron was on a mission to get his first ring. But after going up 2-1 in the semifinals against the Celtics, the Cavs lost 3 straight games and were knocked out. LeBron went from an MVP player to disengaged. And sports shows immediately jumped on the story of LeBron's meltdown, trying to figure out what happened. And they uncovered something no one saw coming. Delonte West was sleeping with LeBron's mom, allegedly. Rumor has it, LeBron found out that Delonte was hooking up with his mom during the Boston playoff series.
I got chills.
And it completely threw him off his game. And just like that, the two players became the biggest sports topic in the world. Then to
Whoa! This is the last thing I would arrogance he would say. Wait, what? Did you guys know this?
make matters worse, the Cavs decided to trade Delonte away to the Timberwolves, and they waived him immediately. He then went on to sign a one-year deal for the 2010-2011 season with the Celtics, but he had the worst year of his career, so they dropped him faster than they got him. It seemed like everything was falling apart, but luckily, one more team was willing to give him a chance: the Dallas Mavericks. They saw some value in the years of experience he had playing alongside LeBron James. So, the Mavs signed Delonte to a one-year deal for the 2011-2012 season. But this season was one of the most controversial in NBA history, and it put Delonte in a position he hadn't been in since his middle school days. The NBA officially went into a lockout during the 2011 offseason due to players and owners not being able to reach an agreement with the players' union. This meant no teams could sign or trade players, players weren't allowed to use team facilities, and no one was being paid. For the first time in Delonte's career, he wasn't getting a consistent paycheck, and it turned out he hadn't been handling his money well at all. Delonte and his family had $1 million 8-bedroom mansion in DC, and he could barely afford that when he was getting paid. During the lockout, a water heater broke, and the family had to heat water up on a stovetop just to take a bath. The situation got so bad that Delonte, while being an NBA player, had to go get a job at Home Depot. Yeah, this guy literally worked at Home Depot during the lockout. He was disgusted with himself, and he wanted to get rid of anything that made him feel like a failure. So Delonte started selling every single piece of memorabilia he had. It got so bad that when Delonte couldn't find a buyer, he would just throw the memorabilia away, just trying to erase all the pain he was going through. This lockout was one of the most difficult times in Delonte's life, but luckily, it was short-lived.
I'm not even gonna lie, I respect it. Very few people would do what he do. You gotta do whatever it takes to get some money and support yourself. And I'm sure he supported so many other people. And on top of that, coming from where he come from, and, buying that house, and, he cannot save money. When you're not taught, when you're not good with money, I mean, you cannot blame him just looking at his path. It was...
And by January 2012, the NBA was back in session, and Delonte still had an opportunity with the Mavericks. After hitting rock bottom, Delonte was given one last chance to turn things around. The only question now was, can Delonte...
that was not rock bottom. The rock bottom is homeless, no job. He actually got a job. And there's people that work at Home Depot today, and I'm sure that they don't think that they're at the rock bottom. Come on. But compared to his situation, I get it.
Actually bounced back. Even with everything going on personally, Delonte proved he could still be a solid role player in the NBA, bringing his numbers back up to nearly 10 points a game throughout the 2011-2012 season. But Delonte was still struggling personally. His criminal record kept him from getting a place in Dallas, so he was forced to sleep in his car and even the Dallas locker room. Luckily, he was working for a guy who seems to genuinely care about his people, Mark Cuban. And as soon as Mark heard about Delonte's situation, he went and got him a place approved. Delonte seemed like he had a great setup here in Dallas, but still, he couldn't stay out of his own way. Going into the 2012-2013 season, Delonte signed another one-year contract with the Mavs, and he was playing hard during the preseason games. A little too hard. He started snapping at not just officials, but his teammates. And this all hit a boiling point on October 15th. After a preseason loss, Delonte went ballistic on his teammates in the locker room, and the Mavs had enough, so they suspended Delonte for conduct detrimental to the team as a warning shot. But just 10 days later, Delonte blew up on his teammates again after another preseason loss, so the Mavs hit Delonte with another suspension, and just a few days later, he was waived from the team, officially marking the end of his NBA career. At the time, Delonte was renting an apartment with a balcony that overlooked the Mavericks arena, and Delonte sat up on that balcony for days, watching fans pile into the arena, crying his eyes out, thinking about what could have been. But he had to move on. For a couple of years, he played for teams out in China and Venezuela, but never found stability. In 2015, Delonte made his way back to the US, playing for the Texas Legends in the G League. But it wasn't long before he suffered a season-ending injury in April of 2015. This marked the end of Delonte's basketball days and opened the door for the darkest chapter of his life yet.
I mean, you can
Delonte
see
West
the pattern coming.
completely disappeared. No one was talking about him. No one had any idea what he was up to until these pictures went viral in 2016. A fan ran into Delonte at a gas station and recognized him, so he wanted a picture, but what he got was a weird experience. The fan posted these pictures with the caption, "Bro had a hospital robe on like he escaped from the psych ward or something." I asked what happened, and he said life. Damn. It's clear just looking at these pictures that
Even
he
he
wasn't
knew.
on planet Earth. Nowhere close. I wouldn't call him homeless here though. It looked like he was going through a lot, and it was taking a toll on him for sure, but homeless? Not yet. After these pictures went viral, we wouldn't hear the name Delonte West for years. No one knows what he was doing. All we know is that the next time we saw him, he was in a graphic viral video being attacked in the middle of a highway. This started going viral in early 2020, and there is a part 2 of the aftermath showing Delonte West shirtless, handcuffed, and in a rage.
I'm the leader of the goddamn Navy SEALs and the Army and the Navy. I'm what President Trump. I'm the real president. I'm like the leader of all the gangs. What happened?
At this point, it was more than clear. Delonte West needs help immediately. And as these videos went viral, Delonte's former college teammate Jameer Nelson posted this message online, begging for Delonte to get help and spreading awareness on how serious mental health really is. But nothing really came of this, and it wasn't long until he once again disappeared for months. The next time we saw Delonte was September 2020, and it was clear that he was at rock bottom. What does a homeless NBA player look like? Well, a heartbreaking picture started going viral, showing Delonte on the streets of Dallas with a cardboard sign, begging for money. This time, when Delonte went viral, things felt different. This picture took the internet by storm, and the NBA world started rallying together to try to get Delonte some help. Anyone and everyone that ever met Delonte was posting online, begging for someone to get him help or offering it. Even LeBron wanted to fly Delonte out to LA and offered to spend whatever money it took to get him back on his feet. But no one could find him. Every minute was important. It felt like it was a matter of time before things hit a point of no return. Thankfully, there was one more person trying to hunt Delonte down: Mark Cuban. Mark saw these pictures and videos go viral throughout 2020 as well. And as soon as he saw Delonte was in Dallas, he started making every call he could to try and find him. A few days went by, and Mark was able to get a hold of Delonte. They agreed to meet at a gas station in Dallas where Mark picked him up. Not long after, Mark confirmed with reporters that he did pick him up, saying, "I could just confirm that I found him and helped him. The rest is up to Delonte and his family to tell." And we didn't hear anything about Delonte for another month or so. Then, out of nowhere, Mark shared a couple of pictures and an update, saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Delonte West. A long way to go, but he's taken the first steps and shared these with all of us as a thank you for the love and support." For the first time in years, Delonte looks alive and happy.
I get
And now
chills.
it's being reported that Delonte has a job working for the same rehab center that he attended. From NBA player to homeless, this might be Delonte's last opportunity to save himself. Mental illness is hell. It's an internal battle that you have to live with forever. So if there's anything you take away from Delonte's story or this video, it's that it's okay to ask for help. In fact, Delonte getting in that car with Mark Cuban and accepting the help he needs, that's the strongest thing he's ever done.
He seemed like his pride wasn't getting in the way of him though, because when he went out and got it, you know, when he needed it, it looked like. But this just got me chills seeing. But it could have been avoided way earlier. Like if you see someone that is not normal, like him, they saw it earlier. Oh, like he has some mental health issues early on. It looked like. And you cannot treat someone normal then and just, oh, now it's up to him. Now he gotta do what he gotta do. He's an adult. Like, you need some kind of supervision. A lot, like, obviously he could not handle being around himself, whatever he was going through mentally, and it affected the direction that he ended up in. And yes, some people can say that this is his responsibility, his choices, but you cannot really say that to someone who's not mentally stable. Like, they need more than a normal person who can handle them. He was obviously easy to be able to take advantage of, and just impulsive behavior emotionally. And it's not a coincidence considering where he grew up and where he's from. Like, it's patterns. You usually can see why people are the way we are. You can find patterns. And these things is so important early, in the early stage of our lives, childhood. It affects us for the rest of our lives. So just getting an insight in his journey, his life, and I can't understand why he ended up the way he did. But it seemed like it was a great ending now. And I hope that he's doing well today. But I'm gonna stop rambling, and comment your opinion down below. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Appreciate you watching. Bye.